Something big has changed since our way too early predictions for the Tennessee Volunteers. Nico Iamaleava no longer a member of the team after transferring to UCLA. And as you can see, our way too early prediction was 10 and 2. That's going to change quite a bit, starting off with a game against Syracuse in Atlanta. This is going to be a pretty interesting matchup, but the Orange losing Kyle McCord to the NFL draft and replacing him with Steve Angeli, I think that they're going to be a decent team, but I still think that even without Nico, Syracuse is not going to be able to beat this Tennessee team. Tennessee will move to 1-0 before a really easy matchup against ETSU to move to 2-0.
And then to kick off SEC play, they will be hosting Georgia at Neyland Stadium. And with Nico, this would have been a much anticipated game, one that probably would have seen College Game Day show up for what would have been likely a top 10 matchup. Now, with Nico out, I really don't think Tennessee will stand much of a chance, even though Gunnar Stockton might have some questions as the starting quarterback, just because he didn't play a lot last year. But I think with a full season under his belt as the starter, or with the game plan for Georgia's offense being around him, I think Georgia will be very, very good. The weapons that Gunnar Stockton has are going to be solid. The defense under Kirby Smart has always been very, very solid. I really don't see how Tennessee would be able to win this game. It would purely be off of stadium atmosphere and getting to Gunnar Stockton. But with the departure of James Pierce, I don't think the defense will see as much improvement. And with the loss to so much of the wide receiver room, I don't think the offense with Joey Aguilar coming in from UCLA will be able to compete with Georgia. They will drop to 2-1 here before a pretty easy bounce back game against UAB. Really, nothing needs to be said here. They should move to 3-1 here before the road trip to Mississippi State.
And that should be a pretty easy road trip. This Mississippi State team is really not very good. They were not good last season either. Not much to talk about this year. I really don't see any way that even at home, Mississippi State is able to compete with this Tennessee team. We're taking the Volunteers on the road to move to 4-1 heading into their bye week before a very difficult stretch.
And that stretch kicks off with hosting Arkansas. This is going to be a revenge game because Arkansas did pull off the upset last season. And I really don't know what to think of this game because surprisingly, Arkansas has a more stable quarterback going into next season with Taylon Green returning. He's a very athletic quarterback, definitely has a lot of potential, just needs to develop a little bit more as a passer. But I think Arkansas is in for a decent season. I don't know if they're going to dramatically improve the record, but I think play style wise and competitiveness wise, they should be a much better team from last year. Even though this is at Neyland Stadium, I think with how much Tennessee needs to replace, this is going to be yet again another Razorbacks upset over the Volunteers.
And then it's a difficult road trip to Alabama. The Crimson Tide likely going to have Ty Simpson as their starting quarterback, currently in a QB competition, but he is the projected winner of that. Overall, Alabama should have a really solid year in the year two under Kalen DeBoer. We think that the Crimson Tide have the potential to maybe make a run at the college football playoffs again this season. Really, all around, they're just a better team than Tennessee. And I think that on the third Saturday in October, the Volunteers will pick up another SEC loss.
And then it's another road game, this time against Kentucky. Kentucky is going to be an interesting team next year. They did lose a good amount of their defensive stars, that being Maxwell Hairston and Deion Walker, but they are bringing in Incarnate Word transfer quarterback Zach Calzada, who Jonah is very, very high on. He has convinced me he's going to be very successful, and I think Kentucky has a legitimate chance here. We saw Kentucky nearly pull off the upset against Georgia when they hosted them, and they were able to go to Ole Miss and pull off an upset there. I think even though they have some key departures on defense, the offense is going to see some improvement. And if the defense can still build on the success they had last year, I think Tennessee might drop 3 games in a row in the SEC with a loss to Kentucky here.
And then it's back to Neyland with a home game against Oklahoma. But this is an Oklahoma team that we really like. John Matier transferring in from Washington State. We saw how Washington State's quarterback last season in Cam Ward did at Miami after transferring, ended up being the number one overall pick. Does that mean John Matier will be? Probably not, but I still think he's a really solid quarterback. And they also brought in Jaden Ott, one of Cal's running backs from last season, who is one of the best running backs in college football. The Oklahoma offense is going to be incredibly dangerous, and the defense should also be able to improve this year, which was their Achilles heel last season. I do believe that Oklahoma is a better team than Tennessee and will pick up this win as well to move the Volunteers to 4-5. After the bye week, it's a really, really easy matchup against New Mexico State, though, to get a kind of a cheap bounce back win back to 500, only needing to win one more game the rest of the way to get bowl eligible.
And that's not going to be easy, especially with this next game going on the road to the Swamp to face the Florida Gators. DJ Lagway looking like he is going to return 100% for this Florida Gators team after dealing with injuries last year. But he had an incredible freshman season nonetheless. Almost single-handedly willed his team to a win against Georgia before going down with his injury. I think in year two, he's going to see some significant improvement and really catapult this Florida team to a potential college football playoff appearance. They have that potential with this team. And Tennessee, I just, once again, don't think they have the talent to compete with Florida with, like I said, all the talent they have. If you really want to look anywhere, it's that quarterback competition. Joey Aguilar is nowhere near the same level as DJ Lagway. They will drop to 5-6 and are on the cusp of missing out on a bowl game after making the college football playoffs last season.
And to do it, it's going to have to be against Diego Pavia and the Vanderbilt Commodores. An interesting quarterback matchup here. Pavia, a really, really solid dual threat guy, and Joey Aguilar, not quite as athletic, more of a pocket passer guy. I think that Vanderbilt in this scenario really does have a good chance to win this game. But Tennessee, I think even with losing Nico to the transfer portal, they're going to be able to have a decent enough season to make a bowl game. They will win this game and get to 6-6 here.
Yeah, storyline wise, it would make a lot of sense for Vandy to keep Tennessee from making a bowl game. But I just think the coaching staff that Tennessee has is one of the best in the country, and they're going to do everything in their power to make sure this Tennessee team gets to a bowl game. And like Jonah was saying, Diego Pavia is definitely a better quarterback than Joey Aguilar. The only issue is Vandy doesn't really have the weapons surrounding Pavia to elevate him to an even better quarterback than he was last season. And that's going to be what ends up costing Vandy some of their closer games is that they don't have a running back or wide receiver that is really a difference maker compared to the teams they're going to face. So that's ultimately why we're going to have Tennessee win this game.
So our way too early projection was 8.65 wins, and we had Tennessee going 10-2. Obviously, that was with Nico Iamaleava. And that's not to say that Joey Aguilar is a bad quarterback. I think he's going to do a decent job at Tennessee, but I don't think that he's as good as Nico is. And to be honest, that is what's going to take them out of a majority of these games. Just not having the better quarterback is really a big deal. Our projection for Tennessee now is down to 7.35 wins, 3.65 and 4.35 in the SEC. The floor going to be 5-7 for the Volunteers, and the ceiling is 9-3. This is if Joey Aguilar can basically turn into the same guy that Nico Iamaleava was production wise. I just don't really see Tennessee getting back to 10 wins or the college football playoffs this season, though, without him. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in our next video.